This is beeswax. And what does beeswax have to do with airbrushing? Well, believe it or not, beeswax can actually help you solve one of the most common airbrush problems. So have you ever had this problem when you're trying to airbrush, where you can see bubbles coming through your color cup? So if bubbling occurs, the first thing you need to do is you need to remove your air cap, remove the needle. So you got to take your handle off for that, unscrew the locking nut, pull the needle out. I usually push my trigger down as I do so, it's just habit. Now that the needle's out, unscrew the head assembly and you'll see your fluid nozzle. Now if you've got a siphon feed, it'll be the same. This trick applies to any fluid nozzle that has a thread. So with airbrushes like this gallery model where it has the self-centering nozzle, this won't apply. When you go and unscrew your nozzle, you can see it has a thread. Now if that thread doesn't seal properly, that's going to create bubbling because you've got some air leakage. So this is where the beeswax comes in handy. What I like to do is rub that beeswax on the thread of the nozzle. You don't need a great deal, but be careful of little chunks getting caught up in your nozzle. You don't want that to then block your airbrush. You can see on that thread there, I've got a little bit of beeswax on there, and then dropping it back into my nozzle wrench. This will stop me from dropping it, and it's also handy because the nozzle wrench prevents me from over tightening the nozzle. Therefore, I have less chance of cross threading it or snapping off the thread entirely. Carefully screw that back on until it seals. Rub off any excess. Pop the head assembly back on. You can see I'm just doing these finger tight. The air cap. Carefully reinsert the needle. Make sure that you tighten the locking nut. You can check the action by pulling back on the trigger, and if that needle moves back and forth, you know you've done it correctly. If you pull back on the trigger and the needle isn't moving, then you know you've forgotten to tighten your locking nut. Put your handle back on and hooking it back up. It's going to add a bit of reducer just to illustrate. That's what I had in the brush before, and you can see I press down, there's no more bubbles. Pull back and I've got perfect spray. So you can see that the beeswax will easily fix any thread issues that you've got where you're getting leakage and you're getting that back bubbling. So the other thing that can cause back bubbling is that your nozzle is really badly flared or split. But my point of call is always to try the beeswax first, give that a go. Generally that'll fix 99% of your leakages and back bubbling issues.